Hey, what's up? This is King Henry.
I'm Daryl Divine Finley.
We want to introduce you to
The Time Talkers Podcast.
real voices,
Real conversations,
and always
right on time.
the Time Talkers Podcast.
Thank you,
Mr.
Daryl.
Mayor, welcome
I
to the
really
show.
appreciate the applause, too.
No problem,
It
sir.
sounded really authentic.
Absolutely, absolutely. Welcome to the show, sir. I know you're a busy man, so we'll
Sure.
dive right into it. A lot of that video, talks about some of the accomplishments that the city has been able to accomplish under your leadership. Talk to us about some of that, because I told you earlier in the pre-production that we've had Councilmember Jackson and Councilmember Velez on the show. So I do want to thank you once again for joining us. Particularly, let's talk about the recycle bins. Apparently, some of those things are not working properly. I watched recently a council meeting, and there were some issues with that. So talk to us a little bit about that and what's going on there.
And Daryl, once again, thank you for this opportunity and this outlet. And as far as the solar power trash receptacles, the initial phase, we had some challenges with those specific bins. But now we've actually gone out and we've got more bins, 55 recycling bins. And this is Big Belly, a very reputable company. Haven't had any issues to date, and it's been about a month since they were installed. So it's one thing that really motivates us, the opportunity to improve. And there are always opportunities to improve, and especially in that area with anything dealing with trash. You got muted there, Daryl.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there was a meeting not too long ago where they were discussing in council that that was kind of an issue. But I thank you for clearing that up. One of the other things I wanted to talk about when we had Councilman Jackson on the show, he mentioned that the stadiums and all of those venues that were created for in that video, which you mentioned, professional events and things of that nature, including Hinchcliffe, which I played, which has a lot of historic value.
When did you
Apparently
go?
that there's some money that was vested in some trailers and some other things that are just going to waste. Can you address that for us?
Well, I would take a lot of what the councilman said with a grain of salt. But what I can tell you, because he said it repeatedly, what opportunities has it created for Paterson residents? Well, you'll see every Sunday this fall, our Little League football players are there. These are teams from Paterson players, athletes, student athletes that have an opportunity to play on a historic field. And I'll add, I cut the ribbon on Silver Fox Ice Cream, which is downtown on Broadway. And they have become a fixture at Hinchcliffe Stadium. So you have a local small business that is present at Hinchcliffe Stadium games, whether it's the New Jersey Jackals, and a majority of their employees live in Paterson as well, or if it's something as simple as flag football games, a local vendor is there and is empowering Patersonians, employing Patersonians, and obviously making a profit here in Hinchcliffe Stadium. You muted yourself again.
I'm not sure why that's happening, but I'll get that checked out by the technical team.
And
So,
I just noticed your Yankee hat. It's really bothering me right now.
all right, man. I'm trying to match for you, man. I was gonna wear a soak jacket like you have on, but then I
Yes.
said, nah, let me just be more comfortable. But I do appreciate the value that you bring in terms of bringing in job opportunities for the city and revenue opportunities for the city. So let's face it, productions of that magnitude, they generate jobs and they generate revenue. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to play a quick video real quick so as to check out,
Sure.
and then we'll come back in and we'll comment on it.
Patterson has underperformed significantly in gubernatorial elections. In fact,
Yes.
elections across the board. How does that change in this general election?
Tomorrow, we're going to be hosting the next Lieutenant Governor of the state of New Jersey, Dr. Dale Caldwell, right in front of my house. We're launching a massive canvass. We're going to be hitting the streets. Patterson will be pound town once again tomorrow with Dr. Dale Caldwell and the local Passaic County Democrats.
What are the specific issues that motivate voters in Paterson for this Democratic ticket, Mayor?
Affordability and empowerment. So you've heard our next governor, Mikey Sherrill, talk about it ad nauseum as far as utility bills are concerned. And so we're going to be hyper-focused on making sure the message gets out that we are advancing an affordability agenda and an empowerment agenda.
Jack Ciattarelli came to your town to campaign. What makes you confident that voters here will not respond to his message, particularly on affordability issues?
2 words: Donald Trump. So people are seeing red in the city of Paterson, but that's not the way they're going to vote.
Mayor, last question.
Sure.
Donald Trump mobilized the National Guard in Washington, D.C. What would a strategy like that look like in Paterson?
No, it's not going to happen here. As a matter of fact, there's an active lawsuit being Donald Trump. You'll hear more about it later. We're pushing back on MAGA.
So I want to talk about the Democratic status in New Jersey, as that video confirms that the vote numbers have been low in recent voting. So what are we doing? Well, what are you guys doing as Democrats in the state of New Jersey to galvanize, to kind of bring a change of that?
I'm taking the temperature of Paterson, Passaic County, and other municipalities in New Jersey. 2 things that we need. You need energy for an election, and quite frankly, you need anger. And I think a lot of people are angry right now. They're angry at Donald Trump. They're angry at the fact that their utility bills have gone up. And I think a lot of us can relate to that. And there's also anger about cuts to Medicaid and critical services that we need. And quite frankly, so the angry energy could potentially drive people to the polls and score a victory for the Democrats this November. So angry energy.
I like that. I like that. That sounds great.
Yeah.
The other part of that video talked about perhaps having the National Guard, which is I mentioned in the pre-production meeting. I now live in Washington, D.C. So
and your mayor is my friend.
Right.
Mayor Bowser is my friend.
She's a really good person.
Tell her I said hello, please.
I certainly will. So, and if that comes to your town, to the city of Paterson, what would you do? I heard you say that you and Trump have some stuff already in the mix. So talk to us about that a little bit.
Yeah, for lack of a better term, there's beef between me and Donald Trump, and he drew first blood. And I'm not the only mayor that's been targeted. It's Mayor Raz Baraka in Newark, Mayor Ravi Bala in Hoboken, and Mayor Steve Fulop in Jersey City. There's an active lawsuit against us, and we are all pushing back. Paterson's taking the lead on this matter as well to get it dismissed, because we quite frankly think it's a frivolous lawsuit. And what they're targeting, what they purport to be sanctuary cities. So we're pushing back on that.
Explain to the people who don't understand what sanctuary cities mean. Elaborate on that.
Paterson is not a sanctuary city. We're a welcoming city. We're a city of immigrants. So the interpretation of a sanctuary city could be that we may not want to cooperate with federal officials, or we would put some type of resistance if there was an illegal immigrant here in the city. But we cooperate fully. But we do welcome immigrants to this city, and we want people to know their rights.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Mr. Mayor. What are the other things that I witnessed last night during the council members meeting? There seems to be a huge issue with homelessness in Paterson and what to do about that. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, so we are partnering with Passaic County because they have a continuum of care program. And we also have a Real Fix program here in our city where we've helped about 700 people receive treatment for drug addiction. But we all know that not everyone that's homeless is struggling with addiction. So that's why we're partnering with the Department of Community Affairs. And we're seeing if we can steer some money towards programs where you can provide some type of shelter for the unhoused individuals. So that is ongoing.
Excellent.
And you got to take a multi-pronged approach, whether it's through Real Fix, through the Department of Community Affairs, or Passaic County.
Absolutely.
We believe in the power of partnerships. We don't have all the answers here at City Hall. That's why we have to collaborate with other individuals or other entities.
Absolutely. That's why one of our guests, Ruby, Ruby's House of Ruby's Vision.
Yeah, Ruby
Paterson. Yes. She's a good friend of the show. In fact, my sister works with her. So we're all kind of helping to try to figure out what to do with that. You bring up a good point.
Ruby's Vision is a part of the opioid response team that we created. So they are a partner with Real Fix and Opioid Response.
Exactly. That's why I'm bringing that up, that it takes a multifaceted approach, like you mentioned, there's not just one solution. So I'm glad that you mentioned that the administration is taking it from that approach. One of the other questions that I wanted to ask was the council in itself. Even last night, they seem to point fingers at the administration in terms of financial issues. Do you guys have a budget yet? From what I understand, there hasn't been a budget approved for 2026 yet. Is
The
that true?
council just recently, it was last week, they approved an introduced budget, which is preliminary. As far as a final budget is concerned, you're correct. They haven't adopted that. The issue is the tax increase. So originally in our introduced budget, based on what was available at that time, it was a 5.6% increase. I give a lot of credit to my chief financial officer and my business administrator working with me. We got it down to 3.5%. Now, with the final budget, our goal is to get it as close to 2% as we can, because we have an MOU with the Department of Community Affairs that states we have to have at least a 2% increase every year in taxes, because we receive a significant amount of money in transitional aid. On average, it could be 20, 25 million. Now it's 30 million. And rising healthcare costs are contributing to the reason why we are requesting more transitional aid. There was a point where we were actually weaning ourselves off the transitional aid. The pandemic happened. And then, like I stated before, you've had rising healthcare costs only exacerbate the situation.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's another issue. I'm glad you addressed it. I don't even have to ask that question now, because that was the other one, the healthcare cost. So thank you for addressing that. I'm going to play another video. This is kind of representing the time when the police took place in
Sure.
Paterson. So let's
talk
take a look
about
at that.
Good to see you. So it's been almost a year and a half now, just after the death of Najee Seabrooks, a real low point in police community relations in your city. When it happened, the takeover that is, you were kind of muted in your response. Can you start first by telling us how all that happens? How much advance notice do you get when something like that occurs?
Actually, David, it was March 27, 2023, and I received a phone call from Matt Platkin at about 8:23 in the morning, informing me that he was in my police department and he was taking over. And at that point, I'm saying to myself, I didn't get advance notice, and this is something, as far as the police relations with the public is concerned, something that we were working on. So if he would have given me the courtesy of a meeting or a phone call weeks prior to this stunning phone call, which I thought was entirely inappropriate and unprofessional, I would have been able to let him know what we were working on. As a matter of fact, we were engaged in serious conversations with the Rutgers Center on Policing, and I had already scheduled a trip to Omaha to learn more about Omaha 360, which is a proven program to help improve not only the relationship between the police and the public, but also to reduce crime in urban centers like Paterson.
We'll get to that, a little bit more of that in a couple seconds. But so are you telling me that you got a call on the day that these guys showed up in your police department?
Yes, I received a phone call informing me that he was taking over my police department. Look, the way that we've been able to position Paterson for Progress is through partnerships. So I believe in collaboration. But Matt Platkin had no interest in being a partner. He had no interest in collaboration. In fact, many people suspect he was just looking to advance his own political ambitions at the expense of Paterson. And I just want everyone to know our city is not a stepping stone.
I really appreciated your defense and saying that Paterson wasn't a stepping stone. So what is the relationship now between you and the state's attorney?
Well,
and what's the status of the police department?
There's no relationship. What he did was illegal. We challenged him in court. We took it to the state appellate court, and we won. It was a unanimous decision stating that it was unlawful what he did. He appealed to the Supreme Court. Now, it's interesting. The Supreme Court never really ruled on whether or not it was legal. What they said was there was the intent on the by the part of the legislature. There was evidence of legislative intent because he had asked the legislature for money for this endeavor or this illegal takeover, and they gave him the money. It's not the legislature's place to question whether it's illegal or not. He was here already, so they're saying, okay, let's fund this endeavor for overtime primarily. And for 2 years, they allotted $10 million. And so that was what the Supreme Court essentially said. They never said, well, we're going to rule on whether it's lawful or not, but the state appellate court did, and they said it was unlawful. So we have a major victory in court. And quite frankly, he's not going to be the attorney general. Both Mikey Sherrill and Jack Chittorelli have made that clear, abundantly clear, that he won't be here. So the takeover will end and we will get back down to business. Because quite frankly, I am duly elected by the residents of Paterson, by the voters of Paterson, and they trust me with their police department. And trust is the operative word, because I recognized early on in my term that there was a disconnect between the police and the public, that there was a need to improve the trust between the two. And so I unveiled what's called the tools for trust. Prior to becoming mayor, not a single police officer in Paterson wore a body camera. Now, every single police officer wears a body camera, and that's before the attorney general came in. So, and in addition to that, we did an audit of the police department, like a complete, comprehensive audit to see how we can improve, how we protect and serve the people. So he's coming in, he's actually trying to execute on my plan, but he's doing it imperfectly.
Okay, great. So what do you say to the people that say, because I did do a little bit of question and answer on this subject, and some people think that Paterson is safe and some people don't. That's kind of a
Right.
50-50
Sure.
thing.
It depends.
So once the police department is turned over back to your administration, I know you mentioned some plans that you had previously had in place, like going to Omaha and the Rucker police thing. So tell us about that, or any new plans, or what's the strategy if the police, or when, I should say, because you guys won a really big challenging decision in court. So what's the strategy once the police department is turned back over to your administration?
We are going to revisit Omaha 360. As a matter of fact, I spoke to the principal involved. His name is Willie Barney. And I told him that the minute we regain control of our police department, we are going to pursue this opportunity. Now, let me explain Omaha 360, the model, because it's helped Omaha and other municipalities, because now it's a model that can be emulated elsewhere. So they put the right people in the room. And public safety is not just about policing. You cannot police all your problems away. You need to get Real Fix in the room. So anyone involved with Real Fix, got to get them in the room. Re-entry. We have a reintegration services program in Paterson. We've helped over 100 people who have been incarcerated, recently released, either get them housing, identification, or even employment. So the young lady that works here, Valeda Abraham, she's been successful in the 2 years we've had that program. We also have community solutions. If you're a low-level, nonviolent offender, there's no reason why you should get clogged up in the criminal justice system. We got to get you on a path to get that employment or housing, whatever it is you need, and get you away from the courts. So that individual, his name is Ramon Lopez, he needs to be in the room too, because you said multifaceted approach to public safety. It's not just about policing all your problems away. People have some real challenges, whether it's being clogged up in the court system, whether it is struggling with opioid use disorder, whether it is being recently released from a jail or a prison, and you got to get your life back on track because you don't want to be a victim of recidivism.
I
Or
can
succumb to
definitely,
recidivism, I should say.
absolutely. I
Yeah,
can definitely agree.
I'm really excited about Omaha 360 because they're moving on to other municipalities. For example, I believe they're going to be in Syracuse. Syracuse is similar to Paterson in size. So you're talking, they're about 140,000, we're about 160,000. So I told Willie, look, while you're in New York doing your preliminary work, come and see me because it's only a matter of time. We got our police department back and we can use confiscation funds, forfeiture funds to support this program. And we would meet regularly in the room to talk about individuals and how we can help, because it can't all be punitive. It's got to be
Absolutely.
supportive.
Absolutely. And I can testify that that program does work, because I've met some individuals who work at Ruby's Vision that
Yeah,
have come from that program. So that apparently is working. Um, of course, we got to talk about the water main break.
sure.
So first, I'd like you to clear up something. Councilman Jackson mentioned that Patterson has some type of financial stake in the Passaic Valley Water Commission. So can you clear that up for the listeners and the viewers?
So I got to explain. There are 3 municipalities here. So it's Paterson, Passaic, in Clifton. We all, mayors, appoint board members to represent us on the commission. But they have an executive director that's appointed, and then they have a staff. So for the most part, Paterson, through its commissioners, has a stake in what happens at the commission. So I've appointed 3 commissioners. Passaic has 2 commissioners. Clifton has 2 commissioners. The reason why Paterson has more commissioners is because we're the largest city.
Okay. Thanks for clearing that up for
Yeah.
everyone. The other thing that I wanted to bring up was there was a lot of rhetoric that you were someplace else campaigning for some other person. I was going to bring that into this interview, but I'm not, because we have a pretty thorough research team.
Yeah.
And fortunately, they actually found a lot of video of you out there, out there handing out water, doing the getting your hands dirty, as they say. So
Yeah.
so
And
I'm gonna
communicating with the community is very important.
right.
One of the lessons I learned during the pandemic, communicate with your community, because you don't want to leave anybody in the dark. Information is power, and we want to empower our people. Start to panic when you're not communicating with them. You know how it is.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
robocalls, live videos, press conferences. For that entire time, I made it a point to be visible and vocal.
Yes, our production team found a lot of footage of you out there being visible and talking with the citizens and letting them know exactly what was going on. It was a very difficult situation to manage.
It was.
But you guys, in my opinion, did it as best job that could be done. You mentioned communication is power and information, and that's what we stand for here at Time Talkers. Mr. Mayor, I want to thank you for coming on to the show.
Thank you, Daryl.
It's
It
been a
was
pleasure. I know you're a busy man, so I'm going to let you go. And we are going to have the mayor back, occasionally to kind of update on things. We're looking forward to any future endeavors that he has as a politician. We'll dive into that at our next segment of Time Talkers with the mayor.
And Daryl, if I may, once again, I want to express my hold your applause, please. Hold your applause. I want to express my gratitude to you for the opportunity. I really enjoyed the experience. I do look forward to coming on in the future. But one request.
Yes, sir.
Can you please wear a Mets hat next time?
Oh, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, did I touch a nerve there?
Nah, you didn't. I'm like a diehard Yankees fan. But I'll tell you what, though. I'll tell you what. My cousin is a Mets fan. I don't own any Mets stuff, so I'd have to go out and get it. I don't own any Mets.
But just to circle back to something you said, is about wardrobe, right? You want to make sure you coordinate, color coordinate. So if you wear orange and blue, you have an excuse.
All right, you know what? If you come back, when you come back, I'll make sure that I have on some orange and blue.
Thank you.
And it might even be some Mets stuff. Like I said, my cousin is a Mets fan. He goes to City Park all the time, City Field all the time.
So number one ballpark in America. I've been to all of them, so I can say that's the number one. Sorry.
Absolutely. I'm sure he'll pick me something up once he sees this. He can't wait to put me in some Mets stuff. So
I want to see you in a Juan Soto jersey or back. Dwight Gooden. We didn't have an opportunity to discuss this, but we have cut the ribbon on 10 inclusive playgrounds that accommodate children with autism on the spectrum.
Wow.
And Dwight Gooden came to one of them, and he autographed his number 16 jersey with the Mets, and he gave it to me.
I'm going to go out and find some footage, because that is something that we should be talking about.
You might be able to find it on my Instagram page, because they posted it. The World Construction, the company that built the playground, they put it on my Instagram page, and it was Dwight Gooden and Otis Anderson. I don't know, maybe you're a Giants fan?
Yes, I am.
So you do have redeeming value. Very good.
Yeah,
so Giants go 1-for-2 with each other. And Otis Anderson came out, and so did Stephen Baker, the touchdown maker. They both came out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I will definitely look for some footage on that. See, those are the kinds of things that we like to talk about on this show. We like to be self-empowering and self-motivating. There's already enough negative things going on. So, I'm looking for solutions. I'm not looking for a bunch of problems.
Bingo.
So that's
Daryl,
what
I
we
wrote
about
an
here.
op-ed about our experience with the water main break, and I said there's 2 things we were looking for: solidarity and solutions.
Absolutely. And a lot of people don't understand when you listen to the engineer who spoke in-depthly about, in a lot of detail about what was happening there and why it was so difficult to kind of manage that type of catastrophe, I'll call it.
Yes.
But, it made a lot of sense. And because you guys were, as transparent as you were, to me, you guys did a pretty good job of handling a situation that would have been tough for any city to handle.
Thank you,
So my hat's off to you guys. That Mets thing, I'm sure I'll have that on the next time.
Hey, you know what? compromise. I like the Giants. You like the Giants. You want to watch it? Wear an LT or Eli Manning jersey, by all means.
All day, all day. We see. That's why you're my guy, man.
Thank you,
You know how to negotiate really well.
There you go. Meet you in the middle.
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor. It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure's
I'm gonna
mine,
let you
Darryl
go.
Devine.
I know you've been busy. You got a lot of things going on. Congratulations on everything you've been working on. Get that police department back.
Yes,
let's
sir.
Hey, what's up? This is King Henry.
I'm Darryl Devine Finley.
We want to introduce you to
The Time Talkers Podcast.
real voices
Real conversations.
and always
Right on time.
the Time Talkers Podcast.